Hi guys, and welcome back to my channel. How are you doing today? Hope you are having a great day. Ready for some new drama from Ask a Lawyer? Let's go to the first one, about OP's brother-in-law, who threatened to sue OP because OP and his wife bought father-in-law's house. Well, OP didn't waste time listening to brother-in-law's accusations and did something. Listen to the stories, guys, to find out, and of course to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories, and don't forget to like and subscribe, and of course, don't forget to leave a comment. My wife and I have been struggling for a few years. Her dad was in a lot of medical debt and needed to sell his only asset, his house, in order to afford to keep paying for care. My wife told me that leaving the home he shared with his late wife would be detrimental to his health. So I agreed we would take on a second mortgage and buy the house so he wouldn't have to move. He got a lump sum to pay off all debts and live off of, and we got the deed to a house we couldn't live in or rent out. Over the past few years, things have only gotten harder. My wife and I both had to take on second jobs. My oldest moved in with father-in-law because he could no longer drive himself to doctor's appointments, clean up after himself, etc. So she took care of him, and he paid for her online classes. We kept our financial struggles a secret from father-in-law because my wife said he needed peace of mind to battle his illness. I reluctantly agreed. My daughter called one night crying, saying father-in-law was having trouble breathing and she'd called an ambulance. We drove over immediately. Father-in-law didn't make it. I might be a piece of crap because, honestly, I was relieved. My wife and daughter were super close with father-in-law and we got along, but he was suffering, and my most loved people were suffering watching him suffer. I did funeral arrangements because my wife was too distraught. Then, and I'm shaking with rage typing this, my brother-in-law showed up. I might be a piece of crap, but he definitely is. He's an aspiring food critic that spends all of his money eating at expensive restaurants and then writing blog posts about the restaurants that no one wants to read because they're long and boring. He also barely ever called his dad and didn't take his illness seriously. So he shows up for father-in-law's funeral and immediately after the burial starts asking about when the house is going to be sold. My wife told him we bought it so father-in-law could pay his debts, and he gets red in the face and starts making accusations of impropriety. He also insinuated we should have paid father-in-law's bills out of pocket with money we didn't have. I was done and escorted my wife away because she was bawling. Since then, we have both received several messages from brother-in-law demanding documentation of the sale, provided. The house appraisal, provided. My father-in-law's debts, don't have that. My father-in-law's bank statements, don't have that either. Our bank statements, no. And a bunch of other stuff. Initially, I complied with his more reasonable requests, but eventually I stopped responding. His messages got really aggressive, so I got mad and sent screenshots to his boss at his actual job. I asked him if his company condoned this. Brother-in-law sent me a final text saying he was going to sue me for theft, elder aggression, and now libel. I blocked him. My wife is mad that I contacted his work. She said I threw gasoline onto a fire. Did I overreact? I think OP is not in the wrong here. He was harassing OP. Maybe OP should have consulted his wife, and there were probably other steps that could have been taken beforehand, but I don't believe OP is in the wrong. If his immediate response to his father's death is fighting over money, which is in turn making his and OP's family suffer, OP's family doesn't need him in their life. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Emergency Chemist 61 says, I will say not the a-hole, but more important is please get a lawyer and sort out everything beforehand so brother-in-law has absolutely no chance at you all. Rangerman 2002 says, not the a-hole. It's always the ones who do the least in these situations that have their hands out first looking for a payday. Unfortunately, you're going to need to hire a lawyer. ArmNo 8807 says, of course you're the a-hole for involving his employer in a private family dispute. Brother-in-law is, from your telling, way out of line. But the way to deal with that is to block him and get a lawyer involved, only after, and if, he took legal action against you. Ask yourself what exactly did you hope to accomplish by sharing that with his employer? It seems pretty clear to me you were hoping to harm his standing at work, or even get him fired. Was that the case? I, female 27, and my husband, male 29, have been together for 3 years. In those 3 years, I have never known him to be selfish. Occasionally immature, yes, but even that was rare. These problems arose when those stupid cake smashing videos got popular, and my husband thought they were hilarious. I've never thought they were funny, and he knows that. Yet he was always showing me the videos of those poor wives getting the happiest day of their life ruined by their a-hole partner for some cheap laughs. He also knows I have a history with cake smashing. My family does the cake smashing thing. I remember it was my 17th birthday, and I pleaded with my mom not to do it. She promised, and I trusted her. I had my hair and makeup done all nice and right. As I blew out my candles, my mom pushed my head into the cake, and one of those decorations on the cake ended up slicing my forehead. Not enough to go to the hospital, but enough for some substantial bleeding. My birthday was ruined, and after, I wouldn't come out of my room. My mom still calls me a brat for that. I told him if he ever did something like that to me, I'd leave him. He started laughing, but I was being for real, though he really was not taking me seriously. Now skip to a few days ago when my wedding happened. Everything was perfect. I was happy. He was happy. I was excited for our new lives as newlyweds. I felt like a princess in my poofy white dress and done-up hair with perfect makeup. All very expensive things, I would like to mention. We get to the cake cutting part, and as I turn to him, he scoops up a huge chunk of our wedding cake and smashes it all over my face. Everything just seemed to go in slow motion for a few moments. He's just laughing at me, and then says, "You should see your face," and continues to laugh. Other people in the crowd, mostly my family, is also laughing at me. Then I just start walking away. He realizes that I'm leaving and tries to catch up with me, and says I'm being extra. I push him away and order an Uber. As I got outside, most of the crowd is following me, telling me to come back. I get into the Uber and drive away. I drove to our apartment and packed most of my things and went to stay at a hotel. I currently, though, am staying at a friend's house. My family and his family has been blowing up my phone for days, saying I'm being childish, and my husband is a good man and it was just a joke. My husband has been calling me off the hook, telling me to please come home and that he wants to talk, that he's sorry, and didn't think I'd get that emotional. This was supposed to be the happiest day of our lives, and he embarrassed me in front of everyone for some prank that he knew I hated. Not only that, he ruined a $500 cake. He ruined my makeup, my hair, and the top of my dress. The cake got all over. Though I still do love him, and I'm wondering if I really was too hard on him. That seems to be everyone else's opinion. So am I the a-hole? OP did the right thing in my opinion. This man is not to be trusted. She asked him, gave him explanation why she would hate it, and told him that it would end their relationship, and he still did it. He is a selfish person and doesn't give a damn about OP's feelings or her wants. That's not a person I personally would like to spend the rest of my life with. So I think OP should divorce him and end of story. And now let's see if the community agrees with me. Wubba Lubba Dubbity Doo says, "Not the a-hole. You said you'd leave him if he did it. He didn't believe you. If you don't leave, you'll be setting yourself for a lifetime of being walked over if it amuses him." Mr. Jackalbiss says, "Every marriage I've seen that involves a crappy cake cutting has ended in divorce. You're saving yourself years of heartache if you go now." Bella Santiago 1975 says, "He has just shown you that for the rest of your life, no matter how important something is to you, or how strongly you feel about it, he will never, ever put you first, and will prioritize his own, even silly, stupid, minor, wants and desires over your needs. This isn't just a cake or a prank. This is flat-out disrespect. He knew how you'd react. He was just seeing it as a win-win. You either sucked it up and went along with it, or he wins because he got to do his prank, or you do what you did, and now he gets to play the victim because he's painting you as overreacting. For me, this would be it, because it's not just a prank. It was his starting what was supposed to be the glorious first day of your life together, by putting you in your place and making clear that what he wants happens, no matter what you want or need." So, this happened back in 2019. I live in a small town in Wales, but I was on the train to London to see Bon Jovi. Awesome band. It was a long bus journey, so I had a lot of pre-cut bracelet thread in a box and had 2 wheels with me. I got on my second train from Swansea to London, and there was this little girl on the train with me, and she was staring. It was cute, and I work with children, so I asked her mom if she would like to make some. The mother did not look up from her phone. Sure, she shrugged. So the little girl came and sat next to me, and we made bracelets for over an hour. She made 8, all different colors, glow in the dark, UV reactive. She had one. I was more than happy to let her keep what she made, but once it came time for me to switch trains, I packed up. I turned back around, but both of my bracelet wheels were gone. Me, "Do you still have the wheel I gave you?" "Mummy has it," she replied. I looked to her mom, who was putting both wheels into her bag. Now, these wheels are like 5 pounds a wheel, and I had to make a 5-hour journey back the next day, so I asked her for the wheels back. "Aren't you a little old for these bracelets? Look how good my daughter is at them." "Yes, she's good, but you can buy her some from Amazon. But I have more trains to catch and need them back." "But my daughter really likes them." "I understand. She can have one, but I need the other back." "I only have one." I could literally see them both. They're both different colors. "I can see it in your bag." "Look, I need to get off the train. Give me back the wheel." "But my daughter is going to be bored." "I said you could keep one, but I need the other back. Give it back." "You're too old for them. What are you, 20? I actually was 20. "Regardless of my age, I need them back. They help my ADHD and anxiety." "They do." "You can get more. My daughter will be bored." The train had stopped, so I needed to get off. I had to wave a worker over and just straight up told him what was happening, and that this mother had stolen something from me. She then tried to tell him that I was trying to steal from her daughter, and to look at her daughter's wrists. I had to get out my damn Etsy shop and show him that I sell macrame bracelets and the photos I had of the wheels earlier that day. The worker made her give them back, or she would be escorted off the train, and the woman handed back one. Now, here's where I got a bit petty. I asked for them both back. I felt bad for the little girl. I did. She was so sweet and kind, but I did not want to reward her mother anything. The mother complained a lot. She handed them back, and I ran off the train seconds before it left. I then had to run to my next train and thankfully got there on time. Am I an a-hole for punishing the girl for her mother's entitled behavior? I don't think OP did something wrong here. OP is not punishing this kid by not letting her have something that doesn't belong to her. Punishment would have been taking away the bracelets OP has already given her. What OP did was set out and enforce good boundaries around her property, and stand up for herself when someone tried to violate those boundaries. I hope that little girl was paying close attention to OP, because she would have learned an important lesson that'll serve her very well in later life. MTF Bay says, "Not the a-hole. You didn't make the daughter pay. In fact, you gave her some cool bracelets. The mom tried to steal from you for your show of kindness and got caught being a crap parent. This is a case of play stupid games, win stupid prizes." Squirrels Are Evil 2479 says, "Not the a-hole. You didn't punish the daughter. You were incredibly kind to her. You weren't planning on giving her the wheels until the mom stole them. You were thoughtful enough to spend time with her and help her make the bracelets without expecting anything in return. The daughter is well aware that mom does bad things. This wouldn't have been the first time mom has behaved badly. Daughter was quick to tell you mom had the wheels, so she knows mom is doing wrong. Mom was quite happy to accuse you of theft. She's very fortunate that you didn't take it any further. Continue being kind to people, and don't let this bad experience taint your memory of a good time with a sweet child." A little bit of context for you all. I ended up falling pregnant with my 10-year-old daughter during a drunken hookup with a friend in my mid-20s. Not the most glamorous or flattering truth, but it's the truth all the same. When we found out, we decided to keep the child and co-parent while remaining friends. We were never a couple, and we didn't want to be one either. 4 years ago, he began to date his long-term girlfriend, and they moved in together last year. She fell pregnant, and I've been supportive of them both as much as I could be without crossing any lines. I've encouraged my daughter to help out whenever she's staying with them during the pregnancy and to behave. I've also made it clear that I want the children to have a close relationship, despite having different mothers. I've even said if they were comfortable with it on nights I have my daughter, if they ever want time alone, I'll babysit once they have a baby, so my daughter can spend time with her sibling. All in all, I thought everything was great, and I was excited for my daughter to have a sibling, as she's always wanted one, but I had no interest in having another child. 3 days ago, my friend and his girlfriend had a daughter. They asked me to bring my daughter to the hospital to meet her little sister yesterday, alongside others of the family. So I did exactly that, but when they introduced us to the baby, I was shocked. They'd named using my daughter's name. She didn't seem to have any issue with this when she introduced the baby bold as brass. My friend seemed uncomfortable and wouldn't look at me directly. I asked them what they were playing at which point my friend's father said he'd take my daughter down to the cafeteria to get something to eat, and left with her. My friend told me to calm down and not overreact, while his girlfriend told me she didn't see the issue and it was a pretty name. I asked them if they'd named the baby for my daughter, trying to understand the logic here, but his girlfriend said that no, it was just a pretty name she liked. I then asked if they planned to use a nickname or a middle name when addressing her on a daily basis, and her response was that she didn't see a need for that. I told them they were being ridiculous and that they couldn't do this. I then told his girlfriend that I found this frankly creepy and told my friend he was being spineless if he was happy to go along with this. He tried to claim our daughter could use a nickname or something, but I shut that down immediately, asking why was it more reasonable for a girl who has used that name for a decade to shame her name compared to a baby who had no concept of what a name was yet. His girlfriend told me I was being a witch talking to her like that after she just gave birth, and asked the nurses to remove me, saying I was being disruptive. Maybe my temper was running a little too hot though, and I was too harsh on her when she just gave birth. It's just so ducking weird. Edit. I'd also like to state, I know that what they want to name their child is their choice. They could have named her Dinosaur for all I care. But this is one name that should be off limits or adjusted. They even have the same surname as they have the same father. Something about it just felt malicious and deliberate, as if she's trying to replace my daughter, and for them both to spring it on us like that at the first meeting? No, that was weird. Parsimonious Salad says, not the a-hole. From the outside, it sure reads like she wants to replace her partner's affection for his first daughter with his new baby. Of course it's creepy. Dee May says, not the a-hole. They hid this for a reason. He was embarrassed for a reason. The same first and last name is going to cause both those girls a lifetime of issues, especially with the same father. I usually would have a bit more sympathy for a woman who just gave birth, but she seemed deliberately cold and cruel towards your daughter, her stepdaughter, to have done this. Mindless Pangolin 841 says, not the a-hole. This is ridiculous of them and will cause both girls issues with government paperwork for their whole lives going forward. They aren't doing the new baby any favors here.